My name's Eric Sather. I'm the executive chef here at BarLaGrassa in Minneapolis. Been open for just about 3.5 years. It's one of Isaac Becker's restaurants, also the owner of 112 Eatery and the newly opened Birch. But yeah, it's a good spot. It's fun, it's busy, it's Italian focused, but we do lots of house-made fresh pastas, cured meats, whatnot. So yeah, take pride in what we do here. It's busy and fun. My background, I grew up in Minnesota. I'm a Minnesota boy. I grew up in southern Minnesota on a pig farm and then moved up to the cities in '94. But I've always just liked cooking. I've always been really comfortable cooking. I grew up with my grandma, my mom, everyone good cooks, so you just kind of have a high standard that way. But so after high school, decided to go to culinary school about 12 years ago, and then just kind of took it from there. But luckily Minneapolis has kept me busy enough, so it's a good town to be in. It's a really fun time right now. But yeah, I think, the quality of the product and believing in what you're making and liking what you're doing is pretty important. So, and I get to do that.
That's awesome.
That's a tricky, well, there's kind of a million ways. I mean, and obviously something sparks and then you want to do it. It could even be like, someone asks you if you've ever done something, it's like, have you ever made this? And you're like, no, I haven't. So then you try and make it. Or something cool shows up, like today we got some new dishes coming on the menu, and it's like I came across this honey wine vinegar that was really good. Like, you'll either find something that you want to work with, or you'll have a method that you want to do something. You're like, I've never made something this way, so you start tinkering that way. Or sometimes you just get an idea that sounds really good, and so there's a million different ways. Like, it's just a matter of what firecracker starts it, and it might be someone just hype that's picking your brain on something. But for me, mainly, if it's not seasonal, like I think I can probably speak for every chef. We wait for spring, like it's the best time in the whole world when things start growing again. We've gone through winter where you get kind of sick of all the root vegetables and the meat and everything, and things start growing. So seasons for sure. It's like you anticipate like ramps and morels and fiddleheads and all that stuff, and same in the fall, you're waiting for squash and apples and more of the heartier braised meats and stuff. So seasonally for sure, I think that sparks a lot. But then someone comes by and like, hey, I found these amazing mushrooms. You're like, well, I want to use those for sure. Or it's like, there's this cool new vinegar in town. It's like, well, I want to do that. Or you flip through books for sure. Like, new books always come out and you kind of get the general idea of how they want to do something, or you find a product you like and you kind of tweak it and morph it to your own tasting. So there's lots of ways. It certainly gets monotonous sometimes. We have our day in and day out routine, but so if you can find new things and push yourself, I think that's part of your job. Especially, you can't, in my eyes, you can't be the best restaurant if you keep making the same thing day in and day out. You gotta tweak things, you gotta hone things. A musician doesn't play the same song all the time. You kind of gotta grow and evolve and stuff. And in theory, your pantry gets bigger with new things, and so things show up. But then you do anticipate stuff that comes back all the time. But you try and do different things with it too. So, but yeah, I think you gotta do things differently or change things and be pretty flexible that way. Or you might get sick of doing something, so you just want to do something different. Like, in a way, for sure. I mean, we express what we do in different things as far as putting things on plates and different flavors and how things look and all that stuff. So it's an interpretation of art, I guess, but I'm not like, I have a job and I get things done too. I'm not an artiste that works at my own pace or anything. So at the end of the 5 o'clock, we got to be open and have food ready to go and feed a lot of people. There's lots of ways. So say like say springtime's coming, and you kind of anticipate something you want to make or something you want to do, something you think about. And so like today we're replacing a roasted beet salad. Roasted beets are it's towards the end of the winter, you get kind of sick of them. They're essentially they're out of season. So you kind of switch to something else. It's not quite springtime yet, so we're doing some braised. Oh no, that's down the scallops. My gears are turning here. But anyway, say I just want to replace something that's out of season, something's new. The one main standard that Isaac has for sure that I think is genius, if you're going to replace something, you got to make sure what you're replacing it with is better. So that's quite a challenge sometimes, because you're like, this is so good, but it's getting out of season. I got to make something new, but it has to taste better. So for me, I would rather gather my mise en place, like my products that I want. You kind of like, this goes together and this goes together. Kind of mix and match things. You're like, this vinaigrette or something would help it out. And in theory, all kind of comes together, but you kind of gotta, you get your salty, your sweet, your sour, you find all those things, but then you get your texture in there too. Like if it's all creamy and monochromatic, it gets kind of boring. So you find something crunchy, a bright color in there, and in theory, it all comes together. But you just have like your repertoire of tricks or whatever, and then, it's important to keep your cooks hyped on what they're doing here and having good energy. So for them, it's like, if you guys have any ideas, you want to try anything, let me know. But it's mainly between me, Isaac, and then Aaron, my sous chef. So as far as we change things when we want to. That's kind of a nice thing too. We don't do like a large menu overhaul. Like we're not gonna change a million things at once. It's like you want to add something, so you add it. You want to take something off, you take it off, or you change something. So it's one or two at a time. Sometimes it builds up to 5 things pretty easily. But yeah, whoever has a good idea, that's kind of how it gets rolling. But for me, I think that's a nice thing where, Isaac has the same philosophy. That I think less is more on things like that. Like I worked at a butcher shop for a long time, and we made sure that we sold good meat. And people would be like, "What's your secret rub?" Blah blah blah. Top secret. This. And I'm like, I just use salt and pepper and olive oil. Like it's a matter of a quality product. And I think less is more as far as, back to the whole seasonal thing. Like you get excited about ramps because ramps are good, and the best way to do them is just a little bit of salt and lemon on the grill or something. So as far as, I think less is more. Like a quality product, you don't need to manipulate as much, and it tastes good. But you still need to do it right. It's not like anyone can do it. But so like the silk handkerchief, for instance, is a really simple dish that we have on the menu where it's just basil pesto and a pasta dough that's just made with white wine and flour. But so you only have a few things. It's kind of like taking a 4-question test. If you get one question wrong, you're at 75%. So you can't really screw anything up. Like you got to focus on that just as much. Like nothing really gets lost in the wash. Like you got to pay attention to it. And I think that's interesting with the cooks that come in here. You hire some cooks and they're like, we're just gonna make pasta. And then partway through, I'm like, it's simple, but you got to do it right. And that's that's where the less is more thing, as far as it's important to focus on those 4 ingredients, even if it is only 1 or 2 or 4, as compared to 100 things that'll kind of disappear by the time it's all done. Uni is sea urchin. Mm-hmm.
And then how do you make that into butter?
Well, we used to. So originally with the dish, we just had uni tongues that we would just like the whole piece of uni, and we would throw that into the pasta. But then we started to have the issue where you wouldn't get the uni flavor in each bite, and sometimes you would get too much, and then for some people it's unpleasant. So we just take the fresh uni, and then in a Roboku we buzz it up with butter. So it's like a kilo of uni to a pound of butter, and then that's what you just call it, a compound butter. So it's a flavored butter, and then so we go as far as we buzz it all up, we put it in a pastry bag, and then we just pipe little pellets almost. I don't know what you'd call them. It's like when you're like putting cookie dough on a sheet tray to bake the cookies, but we just make the balls with the uni butter, and then it's all portioned out. Small one gets 2 lumps, the big one gets 4 lumps, and it's all consistent too. So I picked 3 dishes, but I picked mainly based on, one, I get something that I like, so I use it. Two, you read about something and it sounds cool, so I do something. But then three, just kind of respecting old school stuff and doing things, but then kind of a twist on how you do things. So this, obviously, it just kind of, this is our mushroom and taleggio agnolotti. It's just got sauteed roast mushrooms that are sauteed in a little brown butter. Inside the agnolotti is a mushroom mousse, and then taleggio. So sauteed, finished with a little lemon, buttered chili flakes, and parsley. So this is one, you know, foraging season is coming up, and right now I'm just buying mushrooms, unfortunately. But, so, you like when something comes through the door and you decide you want to use it somehow. And so that's how this one came about, because you saute all the mushrooms just in butter, and they taste delicious. But then you have all the stems and the scraps, so you make a mousse, and that tastes good too. So that was the filling, and then need a little more fattiness and richness, so we put a little piece of taleggio inside the agnolotti too. But it's really cool. This is the only one, once the noodles are cooked, we actually like saute and blister them a little bit more in the pan with the brown butter, so you get a little different texture on this one compared to the other ones from Hot Dish. So it's kind of cool, seeing that, you know, like all the Travail guys and Hot Dish and stuff, you get, and La Belle Vie, you get all these real complex plating things going on. Like, if you have a dessert from Diane at La Belle Vie, there's a million things on the plate, but everything tastes so good and it's so cool and it looks so amazing. And then, you know, you come here and you get pasta and it still tastes really good. But so the whole variety of what's going on around here is really cool. So, but yeah, I think Minneapolis is cool enough where it's small enough, you kind of know everyone, and then you support everyone, but it's big enough, there's a lot going on. You can go have a ton of different stuff.